What is up, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today it is finally here. It is finally that time of year in which we preview the next edition of Power and Revolution. Before we get started, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Factor. If you guys are interested in Factor, it is a ready-made meal service delivered right to your door whenever you sign up with my coupon code. I will put it in the description down below. If you guys sign up today, you will get a 50% discount on Factor. So if you are interested in dropping fast food, getting a healthier lifestyle, and it has 27 meals and 34 add-on options per week, and it arrives in pre-prepared, ready-to-eat meals which can be made in 2 minutes or less. You'll just have to pop them in the microwave, and they come in easy-made packaging in which you just have to throw it in the trash. There's no cleanup whatsoever or preparation whenever you use Factor. Go ahead and use my 50% discount whenever you use my coupon code in the description. And without further ado, finally, we will get into the features of the long-awaited 2023 edition of Power and Revolution. Now, I have been teasing this for about 2 weeks now, and I know you guys have been getting really frustrated with me as to when we would be seeing an announcement by Eversim for Power and Revolution 2023. So what we are looking at right here is going to be the features list. I think maybe they could have done a little bit more with this update, but then at the same time, what they are adding is going to be a game changer. And what I've been saying for the past couple of months is that Eversim needs to come out swinging with this one, and I do believe that they are at least coming out and kicking the door open with this new edition, especially whenever it comes to the military. This is the press release which was released to me by Louis-Marie Riquez. So we're going to go ahead and start off with this press release. So the first off that we have is the short description of 2023. The latest edition of the ultra-realistic world simulator where you play as the head of state or as the opposition. New additions include diving deeper into the war in Ukraine with artillery, trenches, mines, troop morale, etc. Detailed immigration management. The justice system has been reformed, and children are now taken into account whenever it comes to your national demographics. And as for the description of the 2023 edition, we have 2023, a world under pressure. As 2023 begins, the war in Ukraine is inflaming the planet. Other than the risk of military escalation in this conflict, the effects can also be geopolitical. First of all, with a clash of ideologies between the democratic model and the authoritarian model, and secondly, economic, with inflation remaining very high throughout the world, leading to a reduction of purchasing power and an increase in social inequality. Nevertheless, every nation in the world agrees the war must come to an end as soon as possible. But between Ukraine preparing their counteroffensive and Russia trying to regain the regions they annexed, the situation seems interminable. Now, this is the part that excites me about this new edition, which will basically revamp military gameplay as we know it in Power and Revolution. And it goes on to say, for an even more detailed simulation of this conflict, several wargame features have been added. Digging of trenches, building dragon's teeth type barriers or bunkers, incorporating artillery by the use of mortar rounds, laying down minefields, simulating troop morale which influences combat effectiveness and the risk of desertions, the possibility of moving troops stealthily, the use of suicide drones, partial mobilization, budgeting for the training and equipment of an infantryman, hiring a private military group or private military company PMC, high velocity or hypersonic missiles, and creation of international military bases, etc. So there's even more after that. And then it also comes with a Ukrainian counteroffensive scenario, which allows you to play as Ukraine just as they launch their attack with up-to-date data, which is front lines, troop strength, detailed weaponry, especially those promised by Western powers. Your objective is to recover as much of your territory as you can to be able to negotiate peace accords from a position of strength, all while being very mindful about the possibility of a nuclear attack against you. After years of COVID, immigration is once again growing substantially throughout the world as a result of the harmful effects of global warming and economic consequences in poor countries from the rising cost of energy and food. The 2023 edition expands the migration engine by integrating detailed information on immigration flow for all countries, This now includes statistics such as entering and leaving, which accounts for illegal immigration, economic, students, humanitarian, familial connections, etc. So there's a lot of more types of immigration whenever it comes. So if someone's coming to study in the United States, or if someone's coming for a job or humanitarian reasons, or because their family lives here, then that will be accounted into your immigration flow every single year. The game includes new tools for migratory policy, which includes regulating of just solace, which means birthright citizenship, or otherwise known as the 14th Amendment if you live in the United States, family unification, naturalization, regularization of illegal immigrants, construction of detention centers and border walls, agreements with countries of origin on the issuance of visas from those countries, reinforcement of borders, detention of migrants in transit to your country, facilitating the deportation of the illegal immigrants, and then the option to enter or leave the Schengen area in the European Union. There's also a new scenario with this on the reduction of illegal immigration, which will demonstrate how the implementation of these actions will be able to play out. Right here is the battle for Ukraine. So we have the 2023 front lines as of right now. We do see that Russia has control over Kherson, and as well as Zaporizhia and Donetsk and Luhansk. We do see that there are a lot of minefields present in Ukraine, as well as the northern part and eastern part of Ukraine, and as well as northeastern parts to defend against any incursion of the Russians coming into Kharkiv. We do see that there are new units available on the map. You can see the artillery unit that is seen in the center. I believe that seems to be somewhere around Kremenchuk. And so we do see that there are defensive fortifications lining from Kherson all the way up into what looks like Luhansk for the Russians. And then as well, we do see Ukraine does have some fortifications along the same fronts. However, it's just over in the area of Zaporizhia, as well as Donetsk and Luhansk. And as well as Kharkiv region, that they have defensive fortifications. It looks like Russia also has one somewhere around Belgorod, outside of Belgorod. It looks like the Russians also do have some around Crimea completely. So what's interesting about this is whether if you are able to penetrate these lines, are these destructible by missile, or your troops just going to have to find a way around them, or are they going to be able to punch right through them with tanks and superior firepower? So that's going to be an interesting thing to try and preview for the 2023 edition. Moving on to the next one, we do see a up-close look at these new defensive fortifications and new weapons. So we have two minefields, both Ukrainian and Russian. We do see what looks like dragon's teeth barriers, and these giant walls is what I'm curious about. It says that in the game you can build dragon's teeth type barriers or bunkers. So what I'm trying to figure out is whether that is a border wall that you're building right there, or if that is just a flat-out defensive fortification. Maybe the border wall could be some sort of defensive countermeasure. So maybe it's kind of like a dual type of building. That's kind of what I'm curious about, what that is. It does look like there are guns on top of it, it kind of looks like. So maybe that is a border wall in some way, shape, or form. We do also see that trenches are now available in the game. So we do see that Humvees are available. So what kind of benefits will trenches be able to accomplish in Power and Revolution 2023? We also see our first look at artillery guns. So we have two types of artillery guns, what looks like a level 1 type of artillery gun and a level 2. So the first one is a regular type of artillery gun. It looks like more of a Russian type of artillery weapon. I cannot name the type of weapon that it looks like it's representing, nor can I name the second one. That one looks more like a French weapon. But looks like level 1 and level 2. That could actually also even be a level 3. So I will be very interested in seeing the level 1 through 5 type of artillery upgrades that we can get in Power and Revolution. We do see a artillery round just above this defensive fortification. So it does. So the way it describes that artillery works in the game is that the incorporation of artillery by the use of mortar rounds. So they're essentially going to be like a dual artillery mortar type of scenario. So you can shoot maybe in a certain range, close range, to medium range artillery shells. And then it's maybe, you know, if you're getting close enough, then you can start to try to soften up positions in some sort of a defensive or offensive strategy. So you can use artillery to soften up the troops that are across the line, across the front line, or on defensive fortifications or on trenches, everything like that, and then send your troops and tanks in there to try and take whatever objective you are going after. Minefields will also be a huge roadblock for any offensive operation that you will be trying to commence. Is that the Russians, for example, could be setting up mines, and then you send your troops right next to a minefield, and it will completely obliterate your entire troop line or your tanks, anything like that. Another screenshot that we have is the official screenshot for equipment for military. This is necessary for the recruitment of a soldier or the mobilization of a reservist or draftee. So from my previous conclusion earlier, it is very possible that what we are looking at is now that we have to deal with equipment shortages, or at least just the purchasing of equipment for our troops in our country. And then we also see what it looks like to order a partial mobilization. Mobilization is a set of operations aimed at preparing an army for war by calling men of fighting age to fight for their country. First World War gave rise to unprecedented mobilization. This act is a significant economic consequence, as many people have to leave their jobs and will no longer work for the country. So we see that 75,000 volunteers have been called up. So sounds very familiar whenever you think about U.S. history and Civil War. But I'm very excited for this. I'm very excited to see whether we have a equipment industry that we have to deal with in the country, as well as maybe it's been revamped in terms of what it looks like to try to build up your military. Next up is the one that I am excited for. These are about 2 screenshots related to it, which is the immigration statistics by country. So this shows you the new and improved immigration stats of your country. So it says immigration can be analyzed according to different variables, each one having very precise definition. Immigration refers to foreigners who enter a country. Immigration refers to people who want to leave their country. Net immigration, the most utilized comparison variable and calculated by year between countries, is the difference between legal exits from the country and entries into the country, which is migratory flow. This number does not consider nationality and thus includes all foreigners and people of the country's nationality, or known as nationals, who leave or return here. So new metrics we have is immigration flow, and then projected annual flow of incoming migrants, and then projected annual flow of outgoing migrants. We have number of immigrants in the country. We have number of immigrants in the country, which is by percentage of population, and then number of immigrants in the country by total population. Number of illegal immigrants in the country, and then number of illegal immigrants in the country by percentage. And then we have projected number of regularizations, projected number of annual regularizations annually by percentage. And then we have a projected number of naturalizations, and then projected number of naturalizations annually by percentage, and a number of temporary refugees since 2023. So if you're wondering what the difference between regularization and naturalization is, essentially regularization, I believe, is going to be the amount of people that are essentially, they've been here long enough and essentially they're being regularized by the national government, in which that's saying like, hey, you know, it's essentially giving them not exactly asylum, but it's essentially saying, we know you broke the law coming in here, but then it's kind of like a free pass, I guess is the best way to get out of jail free card, is the best way to describe it. Naturalization is someone who went through the process and came here legally and then was able to essentially naturalize themselves. So in the United States, naturalization occurs after 7 years of living in the United States. So there are certain political offices that you cannot run for until you are naturalized by a certain period of time. And this occurs not only for people that come from another country, that immigrate here from another country. It also occurs whenever you live in another country. If you were born in the United States, you move to India, for example, and then you move back to the United States, you are then going through the naturalization process. So it's essentially saying, like, we know you lived outside of this country for a while, you're going to go ahead and naturalize yourself here. So it's more of like a formality in certain ways. And then we see a pie chart right here. So the annual total number of immigrants into the territory. So 73% of it is illegal immigration, and then we have educational, we have humanitarian, and then we have all these different types of immigrants that are coming here for various reasons. So it actually kind of breaks it down into various reasons of why they're coming here. And then after that, we see the new and improved immigration area. So we see that there are a bunch of new laws that we can affect immigration and migratory flow into our country. So we see that entry into territory refused is now added. So that basically means that we can ban certain countries from entering our territory. We can ban on leaving the territory for certain areas. So maybe we can say, if you don't want to go to China or something like that, we don't want people going to China, and we can ban people for leaving the territory toward China. We have determined immigration policy and determined integration policy. So immigration policy is going to be very interesting to see what that is. And then integration policy is obviously something we've had for a while, which is whether it's like opened or moderate or free or open or strict or something like that. Established repatriated immigrants is not new. And then we have carry out a massive regularization operation for illegal immigrants, which is what I described earlier, which is someone who has been here illegally and essentially saying that we know you've been here for a while. We're going to go ahead and accept you as a citizen without going through the process. We're going through the process, but we're going to kind of help you out during this process. And then it's like for a certain amount of people, not an entire, or you can do it for the entirety of your illegal immigrants. And then we have begin an exceptional operation for the mass deportation of illegal immigrants right here. And then we have determined policy on issuance of visas. So I believe this is who we can issue visas to by country. Regulate foreign nationals' voting rights for local elections. We have leave Schengen area. We have regulate family unification. We have regulate just Soli, which is what we have open right here. So just Soli is not recognized in France. Just Soli under certain conditions if you know the language or residence. And then just Soli recognized without conditions. So essentially, again, this is more of like the 14th Amendment, in which if you are born on the national territory, then you are immediately granted citizenship. So it says every country in the world employs just sanguinis, that is granting citizenship according to the nationality of the parents. Depending on the country, it also can be acquired from the simple fact of being born in a territory. This is called just Soli. So this is recognized without conditions in the United States. For example, in a number of years of residence or good knowledge of the language. Finally, regulating just Soli alters the count of illegal immigrants in the country and impacts illegal immigrants who wish to benefit specifically from this right. So even if people were born in this country by just Soli, you can actually change it, and then immediately you would say that is not recognized anymore. So that would throw a lot of people under into some sort of situation if that were to happen in the United States. Ban on hosting foreign students except for bilateral agreements. So ban on hosting foreign students. Maybe we can ban like Chinese students from entering, anything like that. We can withdraw from the UN Refugee Convention. So basically means we would probably not be able to accept refugees anymore. We have determined naturalization regulations and determined regularization regulations. And that is already what we discussed earlier. And then after that, we have an immigration agreement. This agreement is valid for a minimum period of 1 month, during which it cannot be modified or canceled. And then so this is the immigration agreement. So this is essentially facilitation of return of illegal immigrants to their country of origin, specific reinforcement of surveillance and control of the French border with the United Kingdom. And then we have asylum requests. So essentially, this is a actual type of law, which I think this is actually very exciting that we can finally do this. So I can definitely try to do this with Mexico as the United States. So essentially saying, like, if I wanted to say an illegal immigrant came across the border into the United States from Mexico or from Central America, for example, we can facilitate the return of those illegal immigrants to their country of origin, which is to facilitate the return of illegal French immigrants in our territory to their country of origin. This includes issuing a consular pass for illegal immigrants without passports and aid in relocation and reintegration in their country of origin. Or I can say specific reinforcement of surveillance control of the French border with the United Kingdom. And then the objective is to limit the flow of illegal immigrants coming from France. And then the first one up here, I don't see the title of it, but we see asylum request. And then it says detain asylum seekers legal or illegal in French territory in order to pass through and proceed to the United Kingdom. The request for asylum is sent to the United Kingdom for review. If it is rejected, the migrant is sent back to their country of origin. So, and then we have annual financial compensation paid from the United Kingdom to France for these types of agreements. And then we can pay them about $10 billion essentially for facilitating these types of agreements for illegal immigrants. That about wraps it up today. So previously I had a much longer video here. This video probably would have been like 45 minutes or around there. If I actually had not cut a lot of the video. So if a lot of this kind of looks a little scrambled or kind of like maybe inconsistent at a few parts, I'm pretty sure it's not, because I'm going to do my best in editing it. I had a much longer video here, but Eversim essentially wants to release more information next week. So I'm going to have a lot more fun with that video, because there's a couple of things in that video that a couple of features that are coming up that I'm honestly thinking you guys are going to be like, oh my, what's going on here? But I'm pretty excited to do that, and so I will definitely see you guys in the next week. That could change. Obviously, I've been saying that over the past 2 weeks, where I'm saying, like, you know, we're probably gonna get something today. We're probably getting something today. So other than that, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything and any more 2023 news. Again, I'm going to be back next week with some more, and we're going to be talking about private military companies and justice and all the laws that are coming in this next edition. So I'm very excited for this next video, because I'm definitely going to be having a lot of fun with it. But other than that, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.